Heavenly Father, Mother God, whose presence is heaven, sacred and holy is your name. We give thanks that we are made in your image, which means sacred and holy is also our own name, our own identity. Not the identity we've made up, but the one you've created for us, the one you created us to be. So we call upon the Holy Spirit of God, the Divine Mother, to come into our lives and parent us more than it ever has. We call it into our lives to parent us and guide us in everything we think, say, and do. Guide us, Holy Mother. Guide us, Nurturer. The Earth Mother, the Heavenly Mother, the Inner Mother, the sacred womb of the universe. Guide us just as you've always wanted to, and help us to get out of the way. Help us to get out of our own way, letting go of our little self that would try, like a tyrannical consciousness, to distract us, steer us out of love and light and peace and abundance. Instead, we call upon your light to guide us, shining so brightly all else would just simply dissipate and fall away. And in this, we're giving thanks in advance. This is the truth we choose. This is the guidance. This is the way for us. And so it is.
So it is.
Please join me in saying our mission statement. If you don't know the words, they're on the front of your bulletin. Together, Unity of Sedona is a spiritual center that integrates the paths of healing and spirituality to awaken the inner Christ, creating a world of love, peace, joy, and abundance. And now for our sacred reading of the day. Yes.
So, from Paramahansa Yogananda, there cannot be any excuse for not thinking of God. Day and night, rolling around in the background of your mind. God, God, God. Whatever you may be doing, inwardly say, God, you are right here. You are in the sun, you are in the grass, you are in the water, you are in this room, you are in my heart. And so it is.
All right. So just to start off before I go into the talk today, a few people just asked for a specific topic a few minutes ago, so that's where I'm going to go today. But before we go there, for the people watching online, I'm going to share the song because sometimes they ask, what song did you guys do? You know, because they want to be part of it. So today it was Salisbury Hill by Peter Gabriel. And just briefly, because it's a really nice context to what we're going to talk about, but you know, when you look at the lyrics, climbing up on Salisbury Hill, Salisbury, just a symbol, climbing up into higher consciousness. You can see everything more clearly, right? I'm translating. The wind was blowing, time stands still. That's that miracle bubble, I call it. It's a timeless space, the miracle bubble. An eagle flew out of the night. To me, that's the symbol of spirit coming to us. Something really major to observe, to take note. It came in close, I heard a voice, because that eagle, that bird is bringing in the Spirit of God. It's the presence of God. I heard a voice, standing and stretching every nerve. I mean, it opens us up when we connect with Spirit. I had to listen. I didn't have a choice. I didn't believe it at first, but I had to trust imagination. My heart was just going boom, boom, boom. And this voice says, grab your things. I've come to take you home. And what are the things it would want you to take, by the way? Obviously not stuff, but grab yourself. Get your act together. I've come to take you home. To keep in silence, I resigned. Like I'm committed to going within and finding a different way, a different life. And of course, my friends would think I'm a nut because I'm all about now turning water into wine. I'm about living miracle consciousness. Soon, open doors would soon be shut. Peter Gabriel was talking about the music industry. People said, this guy's lost it. You know, open doors would soon be shut, but it happens in our lives, relations. You know, they don't want to know you anymore. So I went from day to day, although my life was in a rut, till I thought of, what am I going to say? How am I going to present this new self? Which connection should I cut? Which, that's the leaks I talk about, patching leaks. What things to let go of that aren't going to serve you anymore. I was starting to feel part of the scenery. So I walked out of the machinery of life. Again, my heart going boom, boom, boom. He says, grab your things, I've come to take you home. And then the final verse. It's a funny thing, man, because when illusion spins her net, I'm never where I want to be. When I catch on and start to see the nets, the traps that I get caught up in, never where I want to be. Liberty, she seems to pirouette. She turns away. Watched by empty silhouettes. What a great way to describe people that are asleep. Empty silhouettes who close their eyes and think they can see. No one taught them spiritual etiquette. I will show another me, and that's all of us on the path. It's like we're going through all this crisis and we're realizing it's time to show another me, to be another me. Today, I don't need a replacement. I'll tell them what the smile on my face meant. I'll explain my bliss that I have, my heart going boom, boom, boom. You can keep my things. They've come to take me home. Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, right? Yeah, thank you. So it's all in a context of today because, again, a few minutes ago, a couple people requested a certain kinds of topics, so I sort of weave them into a talk. So what's the ultimate point of us being on earth? What is the purpose to life's tests, for that matter? What is the point of us being on earth? And humans some of them think you just live and you die and it's over. Others think it's all about retirement. You know why we're here? So we can retire. Any word that rhymes with I'm tired is probably not a great word. How you doing? I'm tired. I'm retired. So people they think this. Got gold watch. It's or upgrading their machinery. Hey, how's life going? Great. I just got the 5 point something or the 20 points. Great. I got kids. Now I have grandkids. Everybody's looking for reasons to live. Being alive is already a reason to live. We don't have to need anything. We don't have to have any reason to be alive. All we need to do is get in touch with that we are that life. We are already that thing. Learning to be able to drop into it. Learning to be able to say, wow, okay, first, let's settle down. Not because that's the end of the story. Just settle down and stop the grasping that Buddha and so many masters, especially of the Far East, talk about grasping and clenching for things. Just relax. So that first, it's creating a receptacle, a proper vessel. Let me stop grasping and be. Not in the overly used philosophical just be, but rather truly okay, wow, I'm already created to be holy, which means I'm holy. What would I be looking for if I'm already whole? It doesn't really make any sense. So I'm going to practice that first, relaxing and accepting who I am. In that, though, I'm only really creating a vessel to be filled. And so people are on, either no path, they think, or they're on a path. And there's no way you cannot be on the path. Let's be clear about that. You may not even believe in a path or God or anything. It doesn't matter because you're still on a path. Everyone has a spirit, therefore every path they walk is a spiritual path. Doesn't matter what it is. No, because I ask audiences all the time, hey, does anybody remember when you got on the spiritual path? People raise hands. What got you on the spiritual path? Oh, I went into recovery, or I lost a loved one, or I had a vision, or whatever it is. All kinds of a wide array, right? When you got on the path and what got you on the path. A friend gave me a book. There's all kinds of cool things. And then I counter with, now, what's funny about this is you've always been on the path. It's impossible to not be on the path. No, I don't think you understand, Michael. I only got on the path 5 years ago. Before that, I was a major drug addict, and I was a prostitute, and I was this. Doesn't matter. They're all on the spiritual path. Technically, you were only learning the easy way or the hard way, but you're always on the path. So when someone's saying, no, because there were things I did that were naughty, it doesn't matter because you were still on the path, and all roads lead home. Amen. But some of them go a long way around. They do. But be careful, because if you go, because we can create some new buzz phrases. Hey, what are you doing? I'm on the short path to enlightenment. And then they'll start going, your path is a longer path than mine. Like it's a put down of some kind. Because that doesn't work. Because the paths that look like they're going to go forever around end up having an elevator, and they're gone. And you're like, I'm on the short path still. And you watch the other people on the long path, ascending, and you're like, what happened? So you can't even get really worried about or judging or pinning down whose path is faster. And it doesn't matter. In fact, the shortest path of all would be when you're not concerned about what path other people are on. But the good news is, if people really understood how this world is designed, how the universe is designed, how our consciousness is designed, again, you'd go back to that first step, which is time to chill, time to just relax. Because when we start telling people, you know what you need to do? You need meditation. You know what you need? You need to eat differently. You need this differently. Now you're preaching. Preaching isn't actually a healthy way to bring people to light. Most often what it is it's scared straight. When you preach, you're doing a subtle version of scared straight. You're trying to convince people that they need something, and if they don't have it, it's not good for them. Like a tabloid magazine in your checkout stands. 10 things you should worry about. They have these articles. Oh, I didn't realize that. I got to get that magazine. I got to read it and find out the 10 things I need to worry about. 10 things your partner doesn't do for you, And then the person takes the magazine home, and then they're looking over the magazine at their partner. And there may not have been an issue, but you're making one because someone told you to make one. They told you what it was, and you have to believe it. So preaching and converting people, to me, isn't really the way. We most convince people by viscerally being a different person, just head to toe. Just being that change. It's very impressive when people go, wow, I do notice something about you. When other people are worried, you seem to have a different perspective. When other people are angry, you seem to have a different perspective. It's very inviting. And even if the other has validity, this one is definitely more appealing for us to be the change we would like to see in the world. So we're on this path, seemingly, but again, it's just an easy way and hard way. And so some of us say, well, okay, the easy way would be this. The hard way is obvious. That's the path of the holy 2x4. Okay? That's all it is. That's the path of the holy 2x4. I don't listen, boom! Okay. I don't listen, boom! Again and again. The path of the holy 2x4. So what we say is, what's the easy path? It's not the holy 2x4. I don't need major blows from life. I don't need major lessons. I listen. I eat better. I exercise regularly. I am doing my best to be loving, and I go to spiritual centers. I meditate or whatever our thing is, and that's clearly the easy way. There's the hard way and the easy way, and we go, the easy way is obvious. It's the prayer, meditation, and so on. All right, classes, whatever we do. But there's actually a trick to this. The hard way, yes, it's the people that don't believe and they need really convincing things from life, the blows over the forehead to get them to wake up, clearly. And many of us have been in that group and gotten out of it, thank God. What did we do instead? We got on the easy path. Great. It's actually a hard path, an easier path, and then an easy path. There's a hard way and an easy way, but easy way, technically, it's not just an easy way. There's hard way, easier, and then the easy way. The easier way is the one we're doing. Prayer, meditation, and so on. The easy way is when you're neither ignoring lessons and being stubborn, nor are you now doing to become more spiritual. The easy way is where you do everything as though you already are home. The other still implies I'm doing. Even if it's doing good stuff. I'm eating better, I'm meditating. Great. Why do you do that? Because it's, to better myself. So there's still a movement of a better. The easy way is to do everything with as much belief, conviction that I'm already there. So I'm not forgiving to become a better person. I am aligning with being a better person, so I automatically forgive. Do you see the difference? One is I'm doing to become. One is I am, therefore I'm doing. The doing reflects the I am, as opposed to I'm going to do so I can become I am. It may sound like tricky wording. It's brilliant to understand the difference. So it's okay that we're on the spiritual path. And when we are on the path and we think we're on the easy way, we tell other people they should do the same thing. You know, I notice you still smoke. You know, I used to be like you, but now I'm spiritual. You know? And that means, basically, I know it sounds like you're well-meaning, but what you're really saying is, I'm noticing that you're flawed, and you should become more like me, all flawless. And it's okay, I'm not like hating you for doing it. I'm saying we do it, but we don't realize that we're still on the easier, but not the easy route. The easy route would be that I see you smoking, and I have no thought about it along the lines of judgment. And I mean, I know that sounds tricky because some of you are like, no, it's wrong and it causes illness, and I know all that. When you get to the easy way, nothing affects you. There's nothing you need to be afraid of. Like the old, if God is with me, what could be against me? Now, I'm not saying you wouldn't stop smoking when you're on the path and doing the easy way. You would, in fact, make some alterations, but it'll come from who you are, not from who you're trying to be. Please hear the difference there. I'm not telling you know, that there's not a diet that's better for you, healthier. All I'm saying is you'll align with who you really are, and it will morph your diet for you. It will morph how you are, how you think, how you parent. You align with that instead of focusing on the techniques and staying stuck in the techniques. That's what I call mastery. Mastery means aligning with God and then changing the way you do everything. Anything and everything. All of a sudden you realize, well, I don't have any particular skill of such and such. You know, I remember in 6th grade, a teacher said, you know, Michael, there's this special program they have where all the teachers that are attending this regional conference, they can bring one kid with them. And I'd like to invite you to be the guest. I'm like, wow. I mean, this is kind of a trip. I haven't really experienced being invited to anything. So I'm like, God, okay. We go and they're like, okay, one of the things we're going to have the kids do is, you know, like paint something or draw something. I'm like, whoa, never been invited to do anything artistic. Like, this is a challenge. And so what did I do? Okay, let me just tune in. And I just kind of thought of looking around and what might I draw? We're supposed to just walk around this campus of some kind and find something. And I just acted as though I could, and then it happened. I drew something and then I won this award, you know, because all the kids, you know, they voted the best picture. I've never drawn anything. And yet I won this thing. And I'm not saying because I'm amazing. I'm saying mastery is amazing. Getting connected to God is amazing. And you know, we have our poetry groups, for example, that exist. When I got here, people brought up poetry and I thought, oh, God. You know, like I always joke and say, it's like, now we got to hear like Ode to an Upside Down Cake. You know, it's like, are you serious? Poetry? Because I had not experienced inspired poetry. Not because it didn't exist. I just hadn't been, you know, introduced to that. So all of a sudden, I'm hearing and reading poems that are as spiritual as any teaching any of us could have done. Because they're plugged in, they just happen to be in certain phrase or poetry or whatever, but they're totally inspired. And so in my Friends of Michael Mirdad Facebook group, there were some people sharing, you know, Roger started some of that and some poems. Then other people like, oh yeah, a couple people, you know, I do poems too, and so on. But what was really cool is people that had never, ever, ever done poems at all said, I'm going to try it. And then sent them to us on the Friends of group. And it was like, what? Like, because they just focused on being in that, plugging into that you know, voltage, you know, plugging into that energy, and it came to them. And now some of them are now published poets. I know there are a lot of poets never been published. These guys have been published within the year of first starting their attempt at poetry. So the universe rewards, and in fact, unconditionally rewards our consciousness. The problem is our consciousness usually isn't very good. So we talk about having challenges in life, but it's only matching our consciousness. And I'm not giving you just the usual speech about manifest what you want. I'm saying that we manifest what we believe we are. And that happens automatically. It's not just when you sit, focus a certain amount of minutes and concentrate on manifesting something. That's all nice for the manifestors and the laws of attraction and all that, those kinds of other spiritual addictions. Yes, I said that. So I'm saying it's not just another compulsion to put your head and focus that you want to make something happen. I'm saying even when you don't do that, the universe is already downloading your beliefs about yourself. Not just when you sit and focus, I want this. It's already tuning into your soul saying, what do you believe you are? When you do that, I'm going to create something, all you're really trying to do is compensate for the beliefs that are already screwing up your life. And you go, I manifested a new car. That's because you want to counter all the beliefs that you deserve nothing. You follow what I'm saying there? So you're using a technique, which is a good thing to use. You know, it's nice, use the technique. But I'm saying, understand what's happening. It would be better off if you change your beliefs about who you are, because then all the good things that God wills for us would naturally come to us. Yeah, that's what it meant by, I'm allowing you to live in the Garden of Eden, and anything you could possibly want is available to you. Even in this universe, three-dimensional universe, anything you want is available to you. But then Adam and Eve fall, which is you and I. We fall and forget who we are. So we have to rise back into consciousness and choose to believe. Not hope that we're better people by even getting on the spiritual path, quote unquote, but knowing I am the spirit that is the path. So the spiritual path is a path that leads back to me remembering that I am spirit. It's not something I do, it's who I am. And if I understand that, I'm going to also start becoming more responsible for my thoughts and my beliefs. People say, your thoughts, you got to watch your thoughts. Thoughts are no. Your beliefs create thoughts that create a world. But it's your beliefs. Yes, your thoughts do play a part. But my thoughts are only coming from what I believe I am. If I believe I'm a good person, my thoughts will start to mirror that I'm a good person. I'll have decent thoughts. When I have wicked little thoughts, those aren't the manifestors per se. They're coming from my lack of belief in who I am. The solution, I'm saying, is not just like behavioral modification. I'm going to make myself not think negative thoughts. Certainly it's good to not think negative thoughts, but I wouldn't have those, and I wouldn't have to negate them if I really knew who I was. Does that make sense? So we're on a path, a journey without distance to a place we never left. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I am and always will be as God created me, which is beautiful, glorious, perfect, and so on. Except something goes a little wonky and you go, but wait, I affirmed this morning that I am as God created me. Then why did this accident happen where I hurt myself? Because I forgot. So I own that I forgot. I must have forgot, because that's not my part of my glory. And so I must have forgotten. So now I see it and I surrender that I forgot, forgive myself that I forgot, and I choose to remember. And remembering means to bring back my holiness, reassembling my holiness. So each of life's lessons becomes not what people think, simply an intellectual or linear lesson I learned. 1 + 1 is 2, and I learned also that, certain kinds of relationships aren't going to work or whatever. Those are linear things still. The greater lessons become, all of life's lessons are centered on one thing, my beliefs of who I am. When I do not remember who I am, bigger and harder lessons come. They're not to punish me. We were told in religion that things that go wonky are punishments from the Lord. And ancient civilizations believed in that. That's superstition. It's like if something happened, you lost your job or you got injured, they would say, that must be a curse from God, because that's what people thought. And we're taught now, God is but love. So how could God have cursed you? I don't like what you did, and now bad things are going to befall you. And it's a very easy thing to believe for people that are insane. Insane people, meaning spiritually, we've lost our minds. And so we'll grab onto anything. Wait, I've lost my mind. And somebody goes, well, I'll tell you what you are in case you forgot. Yeah, tell me, please, because we'll take anything. I just did this talk on Facebook Friday night. And it's still available there and also on YouTube. And it was women losing themselves. And even though it was women, it's for everybody. But it was a topic about women and how they lose themselves. It was a great, great talk. I was so happy to have done it because it's like, wow, it just kind of came through, but it's a bit strong because, I'm saying that people have learned to bargain themselves away. And it's men and women, yes, but I addressed it primarily focused on women and how women are told, and for so many years, that they're lesser or somehow, and so they live a life as though they're lesser because they allowed themselves to believe what they're being told. Well, that's what culture said. That's what religion said. I hear all that. You just didn't have to believe it. But there was everybody telling me, I know, but you didn't have to believe it. So then culture starts changing and women are asserting. So they assert, but all they did was become men. By overly asserting, they became men. Now, watch the video and it'll explain a little bit more so you don't start hating me for what I just said, But you did not become independent. You did not become equal when you started acting like someone else. So everybody's trying to find their value. They're trying to fight for rights of their race, their color, their gender, but you're still fighting. And that means you're fighting something, which means you're still tangled in learning the hard way, or at best, easier. What if we stop believing that there is any difference? Immediately, there's nothing I need to do. I don't have to fight for an equality of any kind. I don't have to speak up. I already get it. If you don't, okay, I'll pray and affirm that you get it tomorrow. But we already get it. So there's really nothing to fight for, nothing to defend against, nobody to convince. We already get it. Again, if God is with me, what could be against me? We're centered in a good reality. And then even people saying, you must eat different, you must not smoke, I understand. And in this world of illusion, we should respect the illusion, not do things, not make a pillow made out of nuclear waste and then see, I bet I can overcome this nuclear waste because I'm a holy being. No, it's probably not a good idea because your belief systems do believe that this power of nuclear waste, it would be a hazardous thing to be sleeping on a pillow made of nuclear waste. So I get that. But the more we really understand who we are, the less we fight about these things. You don't look at somebody and go, you're flawed because you smoke. Instead, if I notice you're smoking, I would automatically go, oh, you caught me judging you. You caught me thinking that you're a lesser person because you smoke. Let me have one. Let me light up with you. It's like this one native elder, he smoked and all that, and people bothered him about it. He said, hey, now I just tell them, I'm not smoking, I'm smudging. A different perspective, I thought it was pretty brilliant, But we're on a journey without distance to a place we never left. So let's use the body as a metaphor of life. If the body is a metaphor and we use the metaphor of 7 chakras, the upper 3 chakras represent the Trinity of God. That means the lower 3 chakras represent something as well. What? Well, the lower 3 chakras represent the 4 elements. My earthly self, water, fire, and air self. My physical, emotional, intellectual, and my intuitive self. This is my human self. So technically we could say the whole spiritual path, the whole journey could be described right here, which is why we say it's all within you. All you have to do is look within and understand yourself. Back in around 1980, I started my first workshops. Some of you weren't born yet, but back in 1980, I started my first workshops, and my first consistent workshop I taught was something, I think it was called Developing Your Spiritual Path, which it sort of morphed into the book 7 Initiations on the Spiritual Path. I've always taught this topic. I'm not the type of teacher that goes, yeah, I used to teach that, but I don't believe that anymore. Because then I'm thinking to myself, well, then it's possible that what I teach today, I better not be too confident because it could be wrong tomorrow. Not me. What I get, what I receive, typically it just stays. It stays true, which I like. So the spiritual path work would come to me because I was studying chakras at the time, studying initiations and life's initiations and ancient civilizations, and I put it all together and I realized all this time, people were trying to remember who they were. We think they're separate topics. Chakras have nothing to do with ancient civilizations, which have nothing to do with this and that and the other. They're all connected. So I immediately said to myself, why do we have 7 days of the week? You know, why do we have 5 limbs, counting the head? Because the head is the embodiment of all 3 of the upper chakras. So it's really 4 and 3, 7, 7, 7. Why? Why that sacred number? Even the word 7, it has a sacred meaning in its original languaging or its roots. But 7 and sacred, what's that about? So all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute. The ancient initiates moving up the Nile to the temples to go and stop at certain temples to do tests and initiations, right? You've heard about some of that? When they're moving up the Nile, they're moving up the Kundalini spine. And when they stop at certain temples for tests and initiations and practices and ceremonies, they're stopping at chakras. And when they got to the crown chakra, it was the Great Pyramid. I'm going, this is all connecting. This is, like 1980. I'm going, this is all connected. People don't realize everything is connected. I know philosophically there were masters who said everything's connected. But it just hadn't been done in a way that was so practical and visceral. So all of a sudden I'm going, the journey is right here. It doesn't mean don't read a book outside or study outside. I'm saying those things reflect what's happening inside. So here's my God self. And when I'm doing life, moving up the Nile, I'm really moving through myself. The outer world is a reflection of the inner world, right? So moving up the Nile is me working initiations within myself. Then I thought, that's not only true, but this means everything you and I have ever gone through, every lesson in life, every test, every experience, they're all related to one chakra or another. You get what I'm saying? Forget that you believe in good and bad. Everything you experience is one chakra or another. So when you say, again, physical, emotional, intellectual, intuitive, or creative, and then spiritual. So if I say to you, last night, I had this vision and I felt the grace of God coming upon me. It tells us that I had an experience that was awakening these chakras. Do you see why? So if I say to you, this year I've been really working on my health, a lot of fitness and changing diet and whatever, reading the cans, trying to really be fit and healthy. I go to yoga now. You know what I'm hearing? I'm working on my root chakra. When I hear you saying, oh, I spent the last couple of years doing a lot of inner child work and counseling, what I hear is you're working on your emotional center. There is nothing outside. And what seems to be outside is really just a metaphor of what's inside. When you say, I'm going to go back to school this year, I'm going back to college, I want to finish a degree, all I'm hearing is I'm working on my intellectual chakra. When I hear you saying I'm working on forgiveness and a sense of humanitarianism, heart chakra. Name it, and there's a placement for it. Because nothing is outside of us. There's nothing you can do that is really out here. Read the lyrics to the song, All You Need Is Love. Nothing you can do that can't be done. It's playing on words. There's nothing really that's out here. It's all here. So it's kind of amazing. But you heard me talk about positive things, going back to school or working on relationships. Those are chakras. Now, root chakra, when somebody says, God, I'm really trying to work on some finances or I'm working on health issues, very primal stuff, root chakra. Sexuality or whatever, root chakra. Now, when I hear that, that's obvious because you're working positively. That's easier. But remember, besides easier, there was a hard way. So when someone says to you, hey, you say to them, how's life been going? How's things been going for you? And they say, God, I was in the hospital twice this year. And I'm needing some tests done and my health has fallen apart and so on. Or I was in an accident or whatever. You know what they're saying? Root chakra. The chakra doesn't discern that it's only good things. The chakra says you're learning either the hard way or the easier way. How to get in touch with that center. How to get in touch with that part of yourself. If you're not in touch with your root chakra, your soul is going to drag you screaming into lessons related to root chakra. But you can also just walk. I see that I've been neglecting my emotional self. How do I see it? Well, I could just see it the easy way, easier way, like a book falls off a shelf and I go, oh, a book on working on emotions. Great. But it can also fall on me. The whole shelf of books could fall on me. The soul has a sense of humor. Your soul's going to say, hello, beloved, because it only loves you. Your soul's going to say, hello, beloved, good morning, I'm just wanting to let you know I gave you some dreams last night, but you're ignoring the meaning of those dreams. They were telling you about, your neglect of emotional stuff and relationship stuff. Hello, and lights are on, nobody's home. So it sees you, walking into a store and, it tips one little book, poof, and you pick it up and go, oh, look, a book on relationships. Yeah. Not for me. You put it up. Then your soul's going to, that's it. Boom, the whole shelf. Boom, and just collapses on you. And you're under there going, why me? And the soul's going, it doesn't have to be like this, honey. But all the time, it's still the same love trying to get us to listen. Before the soul, and it is the soul, it isn't God cursing. Before our soul says, I guess we're going to have to speak a little louder, it always tries whispering first. I always use this analogy when I do classes on this topic, but the analogy of someone says, like their soul is saying, sweetheart, you've been neglecting your health. Your health. Why don't you, which is your root chakra, why don't you get a little more engaged in your health? And you're too busy to even hear the voice. And in dreams, there's like a parade and banners, health, check your health, get in touch with your health, yoga, all these things to get your attention, and you wake up going, I don't know what I dreamt about. It was kind of weird. I think there were clowns in it. I don't like clowns. And you're done with the dream. Like you don't even try to figure out what the dream was telling you. So now, you go on with your day and, you're going to work or whatever, and on the radio, here comes an ad on local, yoga studio just opened up. You're like, how weird. That's just next door to where I live. Okay, whatever. And you move on. What a weird coincidence, and you move on. And then after work, you get in your car and somebody's put a flyer on your windshield. Damn litter bugs, what are they doing? And it's like, yoga studio. And you just toss it, So, done. Now, you got to go to the store or whatever, and here you are in the whatever, coffee grains aisle, and you slip and take a tumble, and you break like 8 bones, and now you're in the hospital. Pain, recovery, costs, expenses, time lost at work, pretty heavy stuff. Eventually, the doctor says, yeah, you're kind of almost there. We're going to put you in physical therapy now. You got to rework some muscles and get prepared to come, back to life so that your muscles don't get all atrophied and fatigued. Okay, great. When you're done physical therapy, which can be somewhat painful, 10 of those experiences, then they say, well, we're done with physical therapy. I suggest yoga. All of that. And you're just back to, and you go, wow, that's an interesting idea. Now your soul is like, cuckoo, cuckoo. But as long as it gets you there, whatever gets you to the light is all right. Remember that song? Okay, and that's what we do in life. We go through these tests, and it's never this and that, here or there. It's always one thing. Our soul is trying to get us to become what we've always been. Holy beings. It's just trying to get us to come back to who we are. So it says, every night while you're sleeping, nestled in bed, the soul is taking an inventory saying, okay, as of last night's printout, we can see. And it's the way it's checking things is basically like your chakras. It says, okay, on a 0 to 10 scale, your chakras are as follows. Your root chakra is 7. That's pretty cool. 7 and higher, you're pretty much good to go. 7, you're good. The emotional center, a 2. The intellectual center, 6, not bad. And your heart, you're just a 9, man. You are great in your heart. You're so creative and spontaneous. But emotionally, you're all messed up. So your soul, and now remember, then the other 3 chakras are the divine spiritual chakras. So your soul does this reading, and it says, You're doing fairly well on some, but emotionally, which is why you're all intuitive, you're a humanitarian, you love dogs, but you don't have any relationships because your emotional center is all messed up. So it says, listen, it's great. It's great that you know, we're going to make your dog run away so that you stop obsessing on your relationship with your dog. We need you to actually talk to humans. You don't have any problem picking up the mess of your dog. You're all like proud, walking with its waste bag, which is weighted down with waste. And you're like, hi, and you see a friend, hi, shaking hands, hi, namaste, oh, hello, little poodle something or other. And you love each other's animals, and it's great. But you hate humans. And it's weird because you'll pick up after your dog, but when your partner leaves a sock on the floor, pig, where were you born in a barn? You know, all that. And the dog's just like, you know. Wow, we're launching today, aren't we? But think about it. It's so convenient. But I love my dog. Why? It never talks back. You know, it never has a secondary opinion. We like that. But you think, well, my dog, and people say this, my dog, it loves me unconditionally. You know, your partner could too if you knew how to work on that. But if you could accomplish a human loving you unconditionally, you've really done great work. It's not that great of a job to get a dog. You just feed it. Stop feeding it. We'll see if it likes you. If you stop feeding it, I would never lay down. Because it's going to eat. You know, and you're the closest thing to food. You know, it's not going to be hungry and eat the couch. It's going after you. So I'm sorry that your partners and whomever else in your life picks and jabs, but that's the bigger test. I'm not dissing owning animals. So don't send me, Greenpeace materials or whatever. Okay? So, please get this. I'm just experiencing myself. My lower emotional chakras mirroring in my relations. My relations are not doing things to me, they're reflecting things. I'm going back to school. It means I, on a soul level, have decided to hone my intellectual self. And it's not just school, there's other categories, subcategories with each chakra. But the mind, even if you say, I started going to a positive thinking church, I started reading about positive thinking and the power of manifestation, the law of attraction, that's all my intellectual self. When you say, I started doing poetry, that's your heart. When you say, I started, kind of practicing and studying Buddhism, your heart. When you say, I started, doing Wiccan practices, root. Native American. No chakra is better. They're all me. And all I need to be doing is first, I want them all in balance. Second, I want them all rating high. And that's mastery. Join us. We're doing a mastery workshop down the road here in a few weeks, but join us if you can. It's online and in person. But it's about mastery. Because instead of trying to do to achieve something, I'm plugging into God and letting it express through all parts of my being. We used to think that life on earth and spiritual path was supposed to be about cutting off from the lower self and just rising into God. And it almost never worked. A few mystics got there by practicing this level of abstinence because they learned to understand what it really meant. Abstinence by judging the lower self is not how you became a mystic or a master. So I started teaching something that wasn't typically taught because everybody was still thinking you have to sort of stop having the cravings of the earth and start becoming real sublime. And there's logic to that. There's logic to that. I get that. But the truth of the matter is, this world is one we created, and it will never cease to exist until we've brought holiness to it. We thought we were supposed to get out of this place Hence, we carry even now vows from the 1500s of poverty and chastity and so on. We're living these very meager lives and we're blaming God for it. You know, God wanted me to be abstinent and celibate and, you know, no funds and, you know, that's some sort of spiritual symbol. It's a model. And God's like, oh, I never told you guys to do any of that. Now you're just, you know, in the illusion and suffering. Because the opposite was overindulgence. So we had models of that, overindulgence. So the mystics said, oh, the overindulgent, I'm not going to be like one of them. I'm going to have nothing. And there was a good point to that. I get it. But I'm saying that that almost never works. There's a third plan that nobody knew about. And that is be the presence in all areas. Be the presence of God in your funds. Be it in your sexuality, be it in your friendships, all chakras. Name any topic. Michael, what about the topic of I want to become a landscaper? There's a chakra for that. I want to become a parent. There's a chakra. Nothing you can do is outside of yourself. All the things you do, think, say, experience, all of them are about this place right here. They're just mirrors or expressions of my inner experience. Name anything. And it's related to this person right here. Someone did this to me. It's one of these. Someone abused me. Possibly root chakra. It was some lessons related to root chakra. And it is my destiny to be holy in all areas. So as I heal and forgive, even if you take classes on healing and forgiveness, there's a chakra for that. Anything you do on this planet is related to one of these guys here. So really, I'm just experiencing myself. The more I love myself, the holier my experiences will be. The bad news is, it is quite possible for the ego to throw a hook in there and make something not so pleasant happen. And you're like on a roll. I meditate, I pray every day, I'm communing, I'm connected, I'm, you know, all this great spiritual work, and then something really harsh happens. And it makes you say, this isn't working, I guess, because I thought it was mirroring myself, but I've been doing really well. Why would something negative happen? The ego knows full well how to find some tidbit and manifest it in your life to make you doubt your progress. Don't believe it. The interpretation for what's called Satan in the Bible, the interpretation of that word is actually the liar. Because when you lie to yourself, that is the devil within. When you believe you're something that you're not, you're lying to yourself. When you think you don't deserve love, peace, happiness, joy, you're actually lying to yourself. That's the devil within. When other people tell you you don't deserve, that's the devil in them. It just means the liar, the deceiver. The ego tries to convince you that it even exists, and it's lying. Because that's all it ever does. It is a lie. So all we're really doing on the spiritual path is choosing to not believe lies anymore and choose to follow the truth. The truth of God. And the truth of God is, I am as God created me. I'm a holy person. I'm deserving of love and peace and joy and abundance. And I'm going to relax into that. I'm going to start just allowing that. And I'm not going to think it to death. I'm not going to counter it. I don't deserve, but I've done naughty things. But parents told me. I'm just going to start carrying the lies that have been programmed into me. And it's not cool that people program lies into me. But guess what? I allowed myself to believe it. Well, I had no choice. I was just little. Yeah, I get that. But now you're not. So grow up. Growing up not just biologically or in terms of age. I'm talking about growing up spiritually. Have the courage to be able to, I don't care even if they're loved ones and they've passed on. Look to the heavens, open your heart and say, you lied to me. You know, it's okay. Tell them you were wrong. Mom said, you know, if you don't get married soon, you'll become an old maid. You're not a complete woman unless you've had a child. Liar. You know, just, it's not true. It's all right. It is. It's okay to just, and I don't mean really in a vicious way. I just mean, I'm saying it playfully, but it's like, you were wrong about me. I became an accountant. Because you told me I need to be an accountant or a lawyer or whatever. You told, because you were. And you died when you were 40. And you weren't even happy. What were you thinking? son, daughter, you need to become like I am. They're dead, and you're like, okay, I'm on my way. I'm going to become one of those. That doesn't even make sense. So it's okay to say, you know what? I'm a florist. That's my thing, man. Like the Monty Python. I just want to sing, you know. Stop that music, you know. But Father, I don't want to be a king. I just want to sing. You know, remember that? It's like, that's how you know, and that's how I was, and it was a drag. It was a drag to be in a world and go, I'm terrified. I just graduated high school, and I'm terrified, because they're all like, people are standing around looking at me. What's he going to do? You don't know. You know, Michael, I own a company. You can come work for me. Kill me now. You know, like, I was terrified. And I can easily laugh at it now, but it was hard at the time to wonder, because it was a secret only I knew, that I was terrified. I mean, anybody that could have taken the time to tune into me would have known, man, he's probably afraid. Because I wasn't going, I'll pursue my father's career. I'll do what my family's always done. Or what I'm going to school, or nothing. You know, I had no idea what I could possibly do. I only knew I liked people. So I would say that to advising, counselors at school and so forth, and they would kind of scratch their head. And they would go, well, Michael, the things you're telling us about you, do you know the only career that really fits that is like a minister? And we all looked at each other, and they're like, I don't think you're a minister. And I was like, yeah, me neither, And yet I am, but I had to create my own version of what I could do. So I'm sorry that the universe doesn't always support the way you'd like it to support and give it exactly the form you'd like. I feel for you on that. But I can tell you, if you plug into inspiration, you might be designing a new career. When I did this, there wasn't a thing called a spiritual teacher. There was no, when you look down the list, doctor, nurse, environmentalist or whatever, like jobs and things and whatever it happens to be, a social worker and spiritual teacher. It just didn't exist. I became something there was no name for. And so that might be the case for you too. What am I going to do? Was there a description for magician on a typical high school form? There wasn't. And if you'd have said, I want to be a magician, they wouldn't have went, oh, great job with potential. I hear the benefits are fantastic. The retirement benefits are just like, wow. Yeah, they got some real great, things set up, it wouldn't be there. But if it's who you are, you just have to say, without apologizing to the universe or the world or people per se, you're sort of saying, this is who I am. And it's not always easy, because the world is part of the liar. They want you to think that there's no world receiving you. That there's no career waiting for you. It's called a soul's purpose. They don't give you a soul's purpose form in school. They give you a career form. Here are our designed careers. Find one that fits into our model. And you look at it, and family, they said, they had some power, my father, he had a little bit of this kind of stuff going on in his life. So he could pull some strings. And he's like, hey, guess what? I got you into a very powerful workforce, it pays $1 zillion an hour, and I'm a kid. So it's like, wow, yep. It's the greatest benefits in all unions and, so on and so on. He's telling me, I got this all set up for you. And I'm like, oh, my God. And he pulled strings. So everybody at this place and then within this union in California, they all had to give, and yep, they had to welcome me in like I was God's son, which I am. But as though I was, just a royalty. They roll out the carpet. They let me go there. And as soon as I caught on to the fact that they were all acquiescing to his will, because he just did things for them that they owed him. So when I realized that, I thought, this is something I could work in my favor. I started going to work just twice a week. Because what are they going to do, fire me? You think I cared? I didn't want to be there. So I was making a great living working just 2 days a week. One time, the foreman, the supervisor, whatever they call him at the time, he said, how come you only come to work 2 days a week? And I'm like, I was at the beach yesterday. What are you going to do, fire me? I didn't want to be there. And it's funny, it really is. But at the same time, I was still hiding out and having to do a job I didn't like, even 2 days a week. The universe is waiting for us to believe in miracles. And that the miracles aren't just like supernatural things. Miracles are supposed to be so easy and so natural and so common that even when it comes to, I think I would like to have something cool to drink, there's a place right next to you. It can manifest your Garden of Eden, anything you'd like in your life. I went and was learning some of the hard way because I was a kid and didn't know yet that I can probably manifest something that is me. I only knew that I need to try to fight off what isn't me. The world is constantly reflecting our consciousness, and we have to remember that and take responsibility for that. But it can be a very, very gracious thing. So as we grow, again, the goal, balance within all my centers and raising the bar on all those centers. Not my physical, emotional, intellectual, creative, nor spiritual self. The spiritual 3 chakras combined as one makes really 5 major centers. Okay, or 7 if you like, but 5 centers. The physical, emotional, intellectual, intuitive, and spiritual me. All those parts of me need to be 7 or higher in my life. And every one of those has subtopics. You can check out the 7 initiations on the spiritual path, that book, or the videos or whatever you like. But every one of those has subtopics. My goal is to not only have them all in balance, stop the religious where my upper chakras are great, but everything down here is messed up. There's too much of that. Be prosperous and sexy. Be happy, be a good friend, be a good person. Have a great heart chakra. People walk around now. Oh, my heart chakra. I want my heart chakra to open up. I'm going to stop listening. I'm going to stop using my mind. And it's very apparent that they did. And they're just like spaced out and, oh, Spirit's going to provide, but you could also just show up on time. That helps. So you need your mind. Your mind is for focusing and willpower, and it's also organization. Use your mind in balance with your heart. Use your heart in balance with your body. Use your body in balance with emotions. The only thing is, all of these, like Krishna taught, all of these are horses that you tie up and you decide what they're going to do. You don't let them pull you. You harness them and you say, listen, I'm in charge. The soul is in charge. My spiritual self is Krishna, Christ. I'm awake, I'm alive, and I know what direction we're going. You don't cut all the horses loose and wonder why your chariot's not going anywhere. Harness them up and say, not only are you harnessed up because we're going to work together, but I have some ideas on where we're going. I meaning my higher self. So my mind, I'm going to teach you to focus. It's going to be tough at first because you're used to running all kinds of directions, called the monkey mind. I'm going to tell you, ease up, lighten up, focus. Because I cannot meditate. I can't even tie my shoe if I don't focus. So I'm going to show up. I'm going to focus. Mind in line. Body, yes, I hear some of your cravings. Your cravings are running in every direction because my ego self has allowed it to do so, because that's what it loves. The ego loves chaos so that I end up disempowered. So I say to the body, not today. And I can say, my body's not going to tell me what to eat. And a lot of healers and people in Sedona, they say, your body has a wisdom, your body is an illusion. Stop listening to it tell you what you want and need. Get in touch with who you really are and let it tell your body. I know that sounds contrary to what some people hear and teach and believe. They just, they go from the body as a negative thing and listen to it to a body as a positive thing and listen to it. You're still listening to an inanimate object. When your soul leaves your body, it doesn't do anything. It dies. It's gone. There's no life in it. You're in charge. So start taking some responsibility. Yes, I see those cravings, but who's the master here? And I'm not talking about being an arrogant master. I'm talking about your empowerment. I am not being told what to do because of my race, my color, my gender, nothing. Well, all men are like that, all women are, all this, all. I just don't buy into any of that. I am as God created me. That will decide what I eat today. I am as God created me. That's going to start determining the kind of relationships I create in my life. And the ones I don't choose. Oh, look, a really great looking narcissist. But they are kind of cute. Stop and say, hello, emotional self and body self. No. But they're real cute. No. And then you do a survey. 9 out of 10 friends said I really should open up and give in to that person and have 9 out of 10 friends that you need to say goodbye to. Because they're just my emotional chakra again. Every one of you, everything, every nutrient, every plan, every new scheme to make me a holy person, every new technique, they're all parts of myself. And the first thing I want to do here is no to the unhealthy parts. Any of the unhealthy voices. So that I can be an empty vessel and choose new guidance. And it's so beautiful, so glorious. New guidance. All of a sudden we realize all this time, I'm going to use the analogy of health and the body. Okay, even though I just said the body shouldn't control you. I'm going to still use just an analogy of it. There are times when people find certain foods to be tasteless because they're so addicted to the fake chemicals they put in foods to make them taste better. Right? That's the same thing that happens in this world. And your friends, everybody's trying to use synthetic guidance on you, and that's not actually what makes you holy. We find our holiness and it guides us to exactly the right things. All of a sudden we realize, I used to be stimulated by certain friends, but they were all unhealthy. So now stimulus is not something I'm going to choose. I'm not going to be as attracted to it, addicted to it. No, thank you. And at first it's going to be challenging because you'll go through what's called withdrawals. But I miss the stimulation. But I miss all the hyper flavor. There's some videos, that people have shown. I've heard some of you tell me about, and it's amazing. The kinds of things, people, there's one study that was done where they take a stack of apples and they wash all the wax off of them, mold all the wax into a candle and light it. This is what's on your apples so that they'll look a certain way for you. But now is it just apples or is there all people too? People that make up themselves enough to look good for you. I have to look good for them. First of all, I have to look good to attract them. Then I have to look good to keep them. If someone's not in love with you enough as you are, I just trade them in, man. Just let it go. Or as I say, loosen the bone, Wilma. Come on, just lighten up. I never know. So do it all over. Stop being attracted to the shallow things of life. Stop being attracted. And people say, how do I stop getting these kinds of people? But why are you attracted to them? You just told me it's your 8th narcissistic partner. There must be a bit of a pattern. Whose is it? Yours. And I'm not putting you down. I'm just saying there's another option. As A Course in Miracles says, choose again. So make some changes. So we start to realize, instead of just talking all about everything out there, the next religion I'm into, the next thing I'm into. I used to be into meditation, but now I go for hikes in the Red Rocks. One is not better than another. Oh, yes, it is, because when I go to the Red Rocks, I have more vision. It doesn't matter. They're both you. One symbolizes one chakra, and the other symbolizes another. Maybe when you were doing sublime meditations, that was connecting with your heart. That was great. But your root chakra was low, so when you walked on the Red Rocks, you thought you had greater meditations, but in fact, you brought your root chakra back into balance, which gave you an overall better feeling. Forget better and right and wrong and comparing. It's all me. When I get that, then I say, I'm now ready for raising the bar on each center and also bringing them into balance. And that's mastery. Bringing God into every piece helps me get that balance and raise the bar. Do not settle. Be honest and do a rating on yourself. And don't settle. Don't settle for a 2 or a 4 in relationships or friendships or health and fitness or finances. That is not God's will. And if ever you hear your head or anybody's trying to tell you that that's the way to go, remember, that's the liar. And say, no. You know, as Jesus says, get behind me, Satan. It's a saying, it's a metaphor. Get out of my way. Take control, seize the moment. No, this is not the voice of love. Let's take a few centering breaths. Set aside all stuff of the world. And let's take a moment just to get in touch with ourselves, to know thyself. Let's take a moment, objectively and somewhat spontaneously. Let's take a look at ourselves. If I were rating my upper 3 spiritual chakras, when I think about my spiritual commitment, conviction, and it's important to say also experience, not just heady stuff, my spiritual experience, on a 0 to 10 scale, how would I rate my spiritual self? 10 being the highest. How would I rate myself? Maybe double check your opinion. How also would other people see me? Because if I think I'm a 10 and people think I'm a 1, I might be missing something. I need to be more honest. So how would other people perceive you spiritually? Not because we're allowing their opinions to control us. We're looking for an objective sort of outside view, looking in. And see what number you get. How do I rate my heart? My heart. Intuition, creativity, heart things. Humanitarianism. Love in the greatest sense. Not human romantic love. Heart, unconditional love. How would others rate my heart if I were asking them? How would I rate my intellectual self? My focus, willpower, mind, organization, knowledge? On a 0 to 10, 10 being highest. And how would others rate me? My emotional self, meaning emotional self, my psychology, my moods, my relationships, romance, inner child status at work, family of origin work, addictions. How do I rate myself, and then how do others rate me? And the physical self. Health, vitality, sexuality, finances, groundedness. How do I rate myself? And how do others rate me? and maybe look back over all of them generally now. And let's consider, to be fair, why don't you average your opinion and theirs together? So my spiritual self, average their viewpoint of me spiritually and my own. Put the number somewhere in between, just to be fair about it for a moment. And do that with each, so we don't have to remember two numbers. Just what is the average number between you and others on each of these 5 ratings? My physical, emotional self, intellectual self, intuitive self, spiritual self. And then take an honest look and ask yourself this. Are any of them, first of all, rating below a 7? 7 or higher? Nice job. Compliment, pat yourself on the back. Yes, my such and such self is doing great. That's great news. Yes, glad I got that piece together. 7, below 7 rather, below a 7, like 6 or 5. Just make a mental note on those. Anything below a 5 is an accident waiting to happen. If it's below a 5, it means my soul is already aware that I'm rating low somewhere, and it's on alert to teach me the easy way or the hard way to get in touch with this. My soul is already whispering, and if it's beyond whispering and it starts to scream, I know, I get it now. And then let's say to the universe, if any of those are low ratings for you, let's immediately take a moment to say, hold on. Before you arrange some hard way lesson, back off, hold off on that accident, hold off on that partnership exploding into a problem, hold off on the dramatic. I'm here and I'm getting it. And I'm committing to making a plan to change this. I will do what I need to do to alter my whatever category it is or categories. I'm on it. I'm going to ask for and receive 3 months, 6 months, whatever amount of time feels appropriate for you to fix that area. I'm on it. You're allowed to do that. Make a commitment, what needs healed or fixed or changed or whatever, and then in your mind, see yourself doing that very thing. See yourself making those changes. Then, of course, when we leave here, start doing it. And if it was your root chakra that's low, get into some yoga, healthier eating, going for walks here and there. Get grounded. If it's finances, forgive yourself for any past beliefs and anyone else's programs that there was to be shame or something wrong with prosperity. Heal the past and welcome in richness and abundance. Lastly, just imagine what your life would be like if all categories were higher than a 7 or higher. If all categories, if my checkbook bank account was an 8, if my vitality was an 8, if my sensuality was an 8 or a 9, if my everything up there, 8, 9. Friendships, oh my goodness, every category being radiant. And we think, okay, there's some work to do. No, this is actually God's will. I just need to get out of the way. Take responsibility for parts that I've kind of sabotaged. A new life. And it's waiting for us. The infinite mother waiting to birth through us a better life. And she just sits there waiting. Sweetheart, are you ready today? No, not yet, is often our answer. Not consciously, but every time we believe in the liar or sabotage ourselves, that's what we're doing. So we give thanks we're now going to start living in alignment with the mother. In harmony. That's the Tao. In harmony with the real divine way of life. And it's our inheritance waiting for us. So we choose to step into it and we give thanks in advance that that's what we're doing. And so it is. Good. I know it's a little warm, so they're turning the air down. All right, so before we're done, we're going to do our closing song, and we'll do our collection first. So thank you guys in advance for your donations. We appreciate it. Be as supportive as you can. People online, there's buttons they can push to make donations. The folks here, just be as generous as you can be. The blue bags are for your love offerings. The wicker baskets are for any extra donations you share that we can share with people of lesser means or sometimes special projects. Okay. How'd you do with today? Good? Nice job. Thank you. All right, we're going to do the collection prayer, and then we'll just share for just 2 minutes or so from everybody feedback. Remember, when you're giving feedback, you're not giving praise to the teacher, the speaker. You're talking about something you learned that's now yours, something you'll be bringing into the world, a statement, a truth, a concept, or whatever it is. The prosperity prayer, if you don't know it, it's on the bulletins, the front of the bulletins, and also posted online. So we hold our donation to our heart. We hear and feel and think and say, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. All right. What did you learn or hear today that made the most sense? Yes?
Loosen the bone, Will.
Loosen the bone, Wilma. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes.
The story of, the universe or trying to give you subtle information and then you just ignore it.
Those examples of how we ignore guidance and then you still end up back in yoga. You just didn't have to spend 1 year in pain and physical therapy and money loss and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, I love how you said, okay, I know this is just in a tube. Just give me 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months.
Right.
So, yeah.
That when you see something's not working, I'm telling you that the universe is already on it. And that might not be good in the sense that it might be a painful experience, which is only happening as a shout because you didn't listen to a whisper. But you're allowed to go, hold it. I got it. I swear I'm on it, and you make a change. You're allowed to do that. Yes.
Also the idea that, when they always talk about go look within, this is a practical application.
Nice. Thank you.
Oh, there's a chakra for that.
Right.
So it's literally a way, a methodology to look within and apply that.
Perfect. Thank you. To take the concept of look within and actually create a methodology of practical, methodology of when I look within, I'm using the metaphor of all of life is right here. And it's absolutely true. Any topic, you can say, well, I can ask you, what do you like? What do you not like? I could ask any of you. You would name it, I would tell you which chakra it is. Anything you like or dislike, and it doesn't matter if it's dislikes. I don't like, having physical illness. It's still an initiation or a test of the root chakra. You're not ill. You're instead at the gym and you're working out, you're eating well, and you're doing yoga. Still, it's about fine-tuning the root chakra. So it doesn't matter if the reflection is a happy one or not. They're both root chakra experiences. My job is just to know that, so I recognize everything that I see as part of me. All right, who else? Yes?
It's okay to accept ourselves and everyone else.
It's okay. The total concept of acceptance to a new level. Yes.
These chakra systems that you speak of, most people have a hard time with the concept of something they cannot see.
Yeah.
But we're at an evolutionary age with our technology that can be read now.
Right.
Within like 10 seconds, your chakra system can be read, your emotions, you can't lie.
Right.
And this, I've showed this to a couple of Reiki workers that are just blown away by it.
Nice.
So this technology is no longer going to be hidden, it is available
And that's right.
amongst us.
A lot of these teachings are becoming available to people. The old saying, the way is narrow for the few only, the mystic masters, the few only. And Jesus reiterates that one really well in the Course when he says, everybody's called. It's only few choose to listen. So it is choice. And that information has now become more available to everyone. The downside is, you don't have any wiggle room now. When you say, I didn't know, you do know.
When you take this test,
It's,
available.
it's,
There's no
yeah.
lying.
It's also in common movies now, more and more about life and tests and initiations and mirroring. You can watch cartoons and it has these kinds of things brought in nowadays. Yes.
I do oral photos every day with an interpretation for people. And, what should be a simple, fun thing to do, I've got a box of Kleenex that I
Oh.
go through.
Yeah.
Because suddenly people see themselves and they see how balanced they can be in certain areas. And I realize these nuggets that we get to plant in people, and I really appreciate the talk you gave because it's so important to address those things.
Right.
Because even if you've got most of them in line, if you've got one that's really out, it throws off
Right.
the balance.
Right.
And so it is not even
Yeah.
the individual, it's the balance of all of them.
That these kinds of things, systems, concepts, introduce us to parts of ourself that a lot of people don't even realize what it can introduce you to when you have an inner life, an inner experience, when you know thyself through things like aura readings or chakras and understanding them. See, I don't do chakras from the usual standpoint. I look at it from a consciousness standpoint. And the ultimate is that I'm opening up. I talked about these chakras, but again, this is my spiritual self. This is not only one I want to get in touch with more, because it symbolizes the I am presence. But this is also one I still am also nurturing. It's not through technique as much as being, the consciousness. The love I nurture as a human feeds my spiritual self. My spiritual self feeds the love I feel as a human. So there's this nice symbiotic relationship. Julian.
I really like the going beyond polarities that you're talking about, finding the centrist.
Yeah. Beyond dualities.
Here, get past stuff this way or that way. Oversteering is a big problem in this world.
Yeah.
We go the other way so far, and then we're like over here, and then you cause yourself big
Yeah.
problems, right? But
Duality,
it's never
the
going
pendulum swinging, and then we swing it way over here to compensate. And the real way to go is the center, the middle path. Yes.
So I just turned 50 this year, and what I really thank you. What was really impactful for me with what you were saying today is because when I realized that I was actually on a spiritual path, my consciousness took me into a past life where I had done the most spiritual work, and I jumped into that part of my life, and all of a sudden my whole life was about a concept in yoga called brahmacharya, which if you literally translated it, it meant celibacy. But the problem was that there was an aspect of myself that needed to find balance living in a world of spirit and matter, this dualization.
Right.
And it was about finding bliss,
Finding.
ecstatic living.
Connecting with bliss and yet living in balance with
Exactly.
it. Right.
Because of this concept in the United States of America, we all have this idea about hedonism and the Puritan.
Right.
And really, I was judging my entire collective in the United States of America so much that I had to go live in Canada to get this.
I'm sorry.
And I'm being very honest because I didn't want to move back to the United States
Right.
of America because I was like, this is where everybody doesn't know what they're doing. Hurt me. I can't come back here.
Okay. Right.
So
And
thank you.
You're welcome. And it is important to get out of that whole dualistic opinion stuff that goes on in the world. This is the way to do it, or the swinging the other way. When you get what I'm talking about today, you start to look from, I'm in the middle, looking, going, no, I don't think so. I've been here and there, and it doesn't really work for me. I get it now. There's nothing wrong with just right here. This is right for me. This feels right. This is me. The others are what I'm supposed to do, or the compensation for what I did do. And there's no sense in it. I don't need to be one extreme or another, whether it comes to one category or another, whether prosperity or body or whatever. It doesn't make sense. And that's when we start to find our center. For some of us, it happens through major life changes and crisis. For others, it happens through simple maturity. We just start to go, I've been here, and not necessary. I get it. So that maturity, though, doesn't have to happen over aging. It can happen just because you start to get things. There's one downside to it, I will say, that when you start to get things, it's very tempting to be turned off by everything. Because you start to go, okay, now that I see it's all an illusion, I don't want any of it. And now you're going to be tempted to abstain too much again. So our lesson ultimately is, if it were up to me, I would say, let this cup pass. But instead, I'm asking for your will, God. Not, get me out of here. Not, hey, God, are you watching? I'm not doing anything. Instead, you know what? I don't know. God, you are welcomed into my heart, mind, emotions, and body. I welcome your light into every aspect of my being. I don't want any part stuck in a box and hidden, swept under a rug. Not one thing, not my happiness, not my wounds. Nothing to be hidden. No rock left unturned. Here I am. Shine your light into every part of my being. When it shines light, if there are dark pieces, they tend to now be lit. They're no longer dark and naughty or whatever. You know, it's just like, here I am. And that's really an easy route to go. Easier route. So, we're going to do, yes?
I love what you said about retirement, because I've never really understood the whole concept of retirement. People say, well, I'm working all my life so I can make up a lot of money and retire. That implies to me that your life, your living, is no fun, really.
Right.
All you want is the retirement. I mean, I've loved, as you know, being a magician all my life. My mother lived to over 100 years old and still wondered when I was going to get a proper job. But, you know, I love what I do, so I don't really understand retirement.
Right.
But everything in America seems to be focused on you work,
Yep.
you work hard, you don't necessarily, most of the time, enjoy it, and
Right.
then you retire, and that's going to be
Right.
the best years of your life.
The-
Not true.
yeah. So you like that, I'm tired, synonymous with retirement. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is true. When you're loving what you're doing, it doesn't make any sense. When are you going to retire? I'm not tired. When are you going to retire? But I'm not tired. What do you mean? You know, hit them with that when they say, when are you going to retire? I'm not tired. Okay. So we're going to do our closing song. All right? And, yeah, we'll do the love chant. All right? The love chant. If you'd like to, you can stand. You don't have to. And you can watch online and join us. And God bless you all for joining us. It was a really wonderful vibe today. And what we're doing is love, 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 love. The gospel in one's word is love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love, love, love. That's the gals. And the guys, if you don't mind, you're just holding space with holy, 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 love. Girls. Good. Again. One more to the world. From a place of knowing, we extend love and appreciation to all traditions because they're just mirrors of parts of us. No better than, no lesser than. All genders are parts of myself. All races, traditions, religions, philosophies, ceremonies, rituals, ways of life. Experiences, all of them reflect parts of my inner being. Therefore, I love all of it. The light of God surrounds us.
You are the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. Thank you. Remember, it's Psychic Sunday today, so if you're wanting a reading, try to sign up in advance. Psychic Sunday upstairs in the chapel. Guys, shh, listen, there's munchies available.